Today on Homebrew Terrain, we're going to build a Necromunda Refinery. And it'll be a lot easier than you think, if you think it's hard. If you don't think it's hard, then it's probably right on to what you're thinking. Hey, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Homebrew Terrain. A lot of people talk to me about building stuff with bottles and plastics and stuff like that. Things like this, or more importantly, things like this. Now, a lot of these have a really great shape, and they look like they'd be cool little buildings and fun to work with. And I typically don't for two reasons. The first reason is because I use a lot of hot glue, and a lot of my builds are just kind of fast and dirty. And if they're not fast and dirty, then I'm gonna be going out to the store and buying a lot of really expensive stuff. And so plastic bottles kind of, they're kind of oily. Even after you wash them, they still have kind of a slick to them. They don't stick to hot glue very well, or the hot glue can melt them. There's different types of plastic. I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of different types of plastic, and some plastics are actually pretty cool to work with, and some plastics are just an absolute nightmare. And you never really know what you're going to get until you start working with it, and so that's kind of a problem. The other problem that I have with plastics is this. Once you put the cap on them, or you put the lid on them, you hot glue it all down, and then you stick this onto something, and then you add onto it, and it's really cool and everything. But plastic breathes. It bends and moves. You won't see this happening in cardboard or wood, but you do see it in plastic. So as the ambient temperature of the room increases, the plastic will relax and the bottle will expand. And as it gets cooler, all the air inside the bottle will start to cool off and contract, and it will make this breathe. And so if you put paints and things on it, or if you hot glue stuff to it, as the plastic expands and contracts with the ambient temperatures of the room, it will end up causing your model to basically fall apart. So I typically don't use plastics, but today, just for grins and giggles, that's what we're going to do. So this is pretty much what I'm building today, or what I'm working with today. I don't really have any preconceived notions about kind of what I want this to look like, or how it's going to come out. I'm just going to kind of pre-build this. Just the whole exercise in this is just to show people kind of what you can do with the stuff you would normally just be recycling, like that straw from your drink that you're going to throw out. This becomes pipe works and hoses. Old medicine bottles become really cool stasis chambers. And you know, this is the lid to something I was going to throw away. This is just peach cup that was going to get tossed out. Pete's cold brew. So all of that, we're going to work on that today. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to glue the cap on, because I need that cap to be there. So I'm going to come through here and just squirt a little bit of hot glue. Screw the cap back on with the glue still hot. That cap is not going to come off again anytime soon. Alright, one of the problems though that it did create, and you can already start to see the warping that's happening, is because this is really, really hot here and really, really cool here. It kind of creates this foggy weirdness. But it's alright though, it'll cool off soon enough and it'll equalize itself back out. It's not a big deal, because we're going to also do something to it that when you're dealing with plastics like this, one of the things you really need to do is come up somewhere near the top and drill a hole. I'll just use my X-Acto knife here, and I'm just going to drill a little bit of a hole. So now I've got a hole at the top up here, and I'm going to cut away a lot of the bottom down here, so when I glue it onto whatever I'm gluing it onto, this won't be down there. And that way it'll breathe through the bottom and the holes at the top. I'm going to put a couple of straws in here that'll help it breathe and make it look good. So it'll look all sci-fi. But in the meantime, yeah, come down to the bottom here and just drill a hole in it. This may take a few minutes, because the plastic down here on the bottom especially is usually a little thicker than it is up top. And if I want to cut the base away entirely, I now have the starting point where I can just stick my X-Acto knife up in there and just slice it through and do that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue this cardboard piece into here. I pre-cut this earlier. It's good stuff. And one of the things you have to be really careful of when you're working with plastic is if you get it too hot, you can actually melt and or warp the plastic. And in most cases, you don't want to do that. That's a big no. Then we have this guy. One of the things that I've seen people do, which is really, really cool, is they take like a model, like a deuter. I don't know, let me find a deuter. I don't have a deuter. My Blood Bowl guy. So you take a model and stick it up inside there and suspend it with a string or something up inside the bottle, and then they fill it up with resin and then put a little LED light at the bottom, and then it shines through and it looks like a really creepy sort of thing. What I'm doing right now is I'm removing the glue residue from the outside here, and you want these bottles to be, like I said, as clean as you can, but sometimes it's hard when you get the labels off and stuff. The glue doesn't want to come away. In the most part, when you're like hitting it with primer spray and stuff, that's not a big deal. I think it's fine. Now this is the lid from this thing, and it can go on this way or it can go on this way. Are you impressed yet? Okay. So I'm gonna put this on there. This is just a medicine bottle that, there you go, last time somebody got sick. And so then we just hot glue around the outside. See, now this is much more stable than it was before. It was flimsy before, but now it's all hot glued in there. And it's relatively cooled down now, so it's actually pretty solid, which is nice. That is nice. I like that. So now I'm going to take this bad boy here. So I'm just going to run some hot glue on the outside of this right here. Again, being really careful here because of the plastics that I'm working with here. I don't want to overdo too much of this. Okay, so while this is cooled, I'm going to take this bad boy right here, same thing, medicine bottle, and I'm just going to glue the lid on upside down to the top because it looks cooler that way, and it also hides all the writing and the weird stuff that's on the top of this medicine bottle. So again, medicine bottles are pretty tough. They can usually take pretty heavy gluing, so you're alright there. And you'll find that the lid to most medicine bottles fits almost perfectly on the bottom of the bottle. Now, again, one of the things we're going to be careful of here is because we sealed all this off, there is going to be breathing inside of these tubes as the bottles can expand and contract. These guys will do it too. Even these guys. Not as much though, because it is a much thicker and heavier plastic, so it won't breathe as much, but it still will do it. So you got to be really careful and how you're doing this. So we're going to do it. We're going to still drill holes and put straws and stuff in these guys here. Alrighty. And now what I'm going to do is just glue this guy on. It looks like it's sticking alright. And the reason I say that is because, again, like I said before, a lot of times plastics like this right here, especially if they're really oily, they don't really adhere very well to the hot glue. This one's doing okay. It doesn't mean that it won't fall apart later, it just means that it's okay right now. So as we get a little more rambunctious with this, it might be futile. I like this dome. It's very domey. Arigato. Domey. Sorry. Am I going to cut away the bottom? Yeah, I think I'm going to cut away the bottom. Never cut towards yourself, children. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using the X-Acto knife at an angle, and I'm slicing it around the outside of the plastic. Like that. So now the bottom is gone, which is good and bad. It has its good and bads. But now it'll breathe really well and it won't expand and contract. Now I'm definitely going to have to put something up here. Okay, so it's one of those super accurate jobs here that needs to be dealt with. Actually, it kind of does. Oh, I'm gonna have to eyeball it though because you can't really make marks on this without a Sharpie. It's too bad I don't have one of those. Okay. And then to see how it's all glued together here, I'm going to use like straws and stuff to cover up the gunky, the hot glue, because you can still see it through the plastic, and that's not good. Nobody likes that. Okay. So you know, if I had half a brain, which I still might be able to pull this off, I could do something like that. Yeah, that could still work. That could be a thing. That could be a thing. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's not worth the hassle. The hassle-chassle? Maybe it is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to trim this all the way around with the X-Acto knife, or at least I'm going to try anyway. This is not a friendly piece of plastic to work with. It's very cracky and very brittle. It's probably also very oily, and when I go to hit it with the hot glue, it's probably going to do bad things. But I'm going to try it anyway because it's the kind of guy that I am. And there are ways to cover up your sloppy cuts and stuff like that too, which we'll go over in a minute. There. There. That looks nice, doesn't it? Yes. Yes, I think it does. I think it's lovely. Look how lovely that is. That's just very lovely. Okay, so I'm just going to come through here, and when you're hot gluing plastic like this right here, you got to be really careful because there is zero insulation factor between you and the hot glue. It's like you're just taking the hot glue right out of the gun and you're sticking it right onto your fingers, because that's how it feels when you put hot glue through plastic. Okay. There. Yeah, that's very nice. Very nice indeed. Okay. So here we go. I've got a cappuccino top, a little bit of cardboard there, a couple of medicine bottles, fruit cup, some stuff. I'm gonna take like a lid. So one of the things that you typically want to do when you're working with these things is, like, on the bottom of the bottle there's going to be like a manufacturing date, usually a name stamp of some kind, and a date, or you know, something. And nobody wants to see that. That's I kind of takes you out of the illusion. So I'm going to take this bottle cap here and just glue it onto the top. Glue it on to the top of the bottle. And you know, sometimes you think to yourself, well, should I overshot it on the glue, or I dripped glue in the wrong place, or something went down the way you didn't want it to. It's really okay because hot glue does not stick very well to plastic at all. You can always just peel it off later if it doesn't melt the plastic entirely. See? It's not a big thing. Okay. Okay. See? And here we go. This isn't sticking very well either. Let's go ahead and invite it to stick better. Yeah, I don't know how well this cap is going to do. It's kind of oily, and not really sticking to the hot glue very well. Well, the hot glue is not sticking to it very well, I should say. So as the hot glue basically heats up the cap, it causes a lot of the oils and the plastics to come out, as it were. I'm trying a little bit of a different method here. A little bit of plastic welding going on. Let's see if that actually works at all. Otherwise, we may not be using this cap. Again, one of the reasons why I don't like working with plastics is that plastics can be a real pain in the ass. I know some people do it a lot, but I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. Okay. So there we go. Now I got a little cap on the top here. You know, and it's a little off-centered. I'd like it to be centered a little bit better, but it is what it is. In this particular case, I've got another cap that I'm going to put on the top of this one here. No matter how many straws I put on this, or how I juice this thing up at the moment, just to make it look all more sci-fi-y and stuff, there's actually a word for it. I think it's dithering, or whatever it's called. So the actual term is called greebling, not dithering. Dithering is for computers. If you're a computer programmer and you're making, you know, coding stuff for, you know, graphical displays and things like that, it's dithering. But greebling is what it's called to take a model and turn it into something all sci-fi-ese. And that was actually a term that was coined by ILM when they were making Star Wars. And I think it's been that way ever since. It's an industry term now, I guess. I don't know. I've heard it like a bajillion times. But yeah, you'll greeble something up, just little greeblies, to make it look more sci-fi. It's pretty cool beans. Anyway, it just breaks up the surface of something. And that's what I'm going to do in this model. I add a lot of little greebly bits. I continue to call it dithering because that's just what came to my mind and I wasn't remembering it properly. No matter how I do that, it's still, this right now is just a line of sight blocking piece of terrain. And you know how I feel about that. I hate it. So what we need to do is we need to get the real work done. And so, getting on to the real work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a platform on the outside of this piece right here, and I'm going to put some stairs going down from here to the ground. Because otherwise, you know, what are you going to use this for? Who cares? It's just a piece of junk sitting. I mean, you could just paint this up right here and throw some straws on it, and hey, look at that, it's a storage facility, and you just drop it on the table, and it took you like 2 seconds to build it. All you have to do, if you really want to get stupid with it, you can just spray paint this whole thing primer black and then dry brush it all silver, and that's that, and you're done. Yay, moving on. But I'm gonna make it a little more, you know, usable because that's just the way I am. I like to have terrain that I can use. So I know this is gonna be like right about. The center is right about here. That. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing this because that's just how I roll. Okay. And then to make the front of the platform, we want to make it wide enough that models can get on it. So we're going to do something like this. Let's make it as wide as the cardboard so it's an even cut. Otherwise I'm going to have to do some shenanigans. And nobody likes shenanigans. There we go. And we just X out this one so we know not to cut there. Alright, and then we get to the serious work. There we go, children, and remember what Uncle Aaron always says. He says, never cut towards yourself, okay? That's the rule. Okay, I'm not really your uncle. Unless you're Jack or Danny or Allie or Madeline, then I am. I am your uncle. Okay, so from here I cut out this lovely little disc shape here. You saw me do that, and then I'm just going to glue it onto here. But before I do that, I'm actually going to cut out another one that looks just like it and glue them together. It'll make this extra strong, and it'll give it a nice thickness down here. And that way I'll have something more solid to glue onto the plastic, because I just don't trust plastic. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out a second one. I'm just going to glue that right here. Because when you start pumping out hot glue from a gun really fast like that, it has a tendency to cool off to the point where it's not really usable. And then the other glue that you put on here is starting to cool off, so you only have a few minutes really to make that work. And then we'll just give this a few seconds to set here. I'm going to hot glue it in here, probably facing that direction like that. Yeah, that looks good. And then from, so like I'll hot glue it in here like this. And then I'll throw some bracers underneath there so that it looks like it's been braced up. And then we'll have to have some kind of a platform right here, and then something going off with some stairs. Because, yeah, that looks like it's more usable of a piece of terrain than just a bunch of bottles glued together. Don't you think? I mean, you would think, right? Right? Okay. I messed that up a little bit, but it all worked out in the end. Yeah, I don't like the way the hot glue works with this bottle. See, and that's the thing. Plastics, you can never trust them. I'm going to come underneath here and do a little hot gluing. And there you go. So I've got a little platform here that I glued on. And now, we need a ladder. The other problem we're going to run into here is that this is going to become very, very, very lopsided. If you put something over here, the whole thing's going to fall over. So you're going to need something bracing it up right here. So I'm gonna build a little bracer for the front piece here, right there. It'll kind of hold it up, and then yeah, it's kind of off-centered a little bit, but it'll have to work. And it's also not flat. I don't like that. That's bothersome. Because when you put models on this, it is going to have problems. They're going to slide around. So, yeah, I'm going to definitely have to fix that. Which I think is going to require me to rip it off of the glue base that I just stuck on there, which I just did. Because, see, that's the problem you have with hot glue on plastic. It just doesn't stick. And so, yeah, that's an issue. Normally I would remove all the hot glue off of here and then redo it, but I'm not going to because the hot glue will stick to itself and adhere a little bit better to the plastic than if I don't. Yeah, I don't really like working with plastics like this, but sometimes you do what you gotta do. So here you see I have the platform here, and all I did was take a piece of cardboard and I glued another one to it so it's double thick, and I just bent them around to fit this shape. So I'm just gonna glue that bad boy on there like that, and then I will probably end up cutting away a section right here to make sure that it's got some cool arches and neato stuffs. Alrighty, and then we add a bit of dithering to it and it looks all sci-fi. There you have it. It's just the bracer. I just went ahead and glued it up underneath here. So I glued two pieces of cardboard together, and then I just cut out I glued it onto here, and then I took my I took my compass. I took this guy right here and I just drew a little circle on there, and then I just cut it out. And then that's how I have the bracer piece. Yay for the bracer piece. And then from here, you know, I might add some fewer pieces here that kind of curve up. Okay, let's be real here. It's me we're talking about. I'm gonna add a whole crap ton of stuff. I'm gonna add a base. I'm gonna add things, bits, doodads, greebles all over the place. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I can never just leave well enough alone, and I'm never happy with the project, and even when it's done I still want to add more stuff to it. In fact, while I was painting it, I was still adding stuff to it. So I mean, it's just, you know, take it at face value. Understand that you don't have to make things as complicated as I do, or you can make them even more complicated than I do if you want to. It's, you know, you can add as much stuff as you want. But yeah, I kind of go overboard a lot. Yeah, so yeah, you'll see that here as we go. I just keep adding more and more stuff. That's what I do to kind of bridge the gap between there and there, make it look a little cooler. And that's pretty much it, man. And then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add this is a piece that I cut out of here. I'm gonna turn that into a little platform right here that I can stick right there, and I'll have a little ladder going up there, and then a little ladder coming down here, and yeah, there you go. That'll be the piece, and then I will add some straws. And the straws you have to be really, really careful with. When you hot glue stuff like this on the straws, you will melt through the straws. So you have to be careful. And I think you saw that when I did the towers as well. You have to be really careful with the hot glue on the straws. And again, because the straws are plastic, the glue will come off of these. So you got to be really careful how you do it. So I'm going to drill holes in these, and I'm going to stick the straws in and then hot glue around them like a weld. And I'm going to try to lay them up against the side as much as I can so that they're not like sticking out or, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, and then that'll be the whole piece. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done and painted up. Oh yeah, one more thing that I'm going to do here. I have a bag right here for oranges. So if you buy like oranges by like the gross or whatever, you know, you buy like 6 or 7 oranges in a bag. I'm going to cut out part of this bag here, and I'm going to throw that on top of the cardboard, and that's going to give it some really cool texture. Alright, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to throw some Elmer's glue on there and just stick it down. Alright, cool. Show you what that looks like. One of the things that I don't talk about, which I should have, and I'm not sure why I didn't, I was probably distracted by bagels or something, was the fact that if you look at the piece, you'll see that all of the cardboard wraps around in kind of a circle and holds itself up. Nothing is really braced up against the plastic, because if you brace up anything against the plastic, over time, especially when you're putting models on it or moving things around, or as you're picking the piece up off the table and moving it, you drop it a few times or whatever. The fact of the matter is, in the end, what's going to happen is it's going to pull away from the plastic. And in fact, I think I show at one point where it's actually already pulling away from the plastic. So the paper towel roll was put in there as a measure of bracing, so that the platform had something to glue up against, and then the small platform glued up against the paper towel roll, and the big platform with that flat piece in the back also glued up against the paper towel roll, and it becomes one contiguous piece rather than just a bunch of separate pieces. And that it adds strength and support to the architecture. So there you go. That's what I didn't show you because reasons. So here you see that I've added some ladder and some straws to give it that sort of piping effect, and then I added a platform here and just a paper towel roll on the back side. Sorry, my hands are full here. And a paper towel roll on the back side here. I'm going to make a smokestack out of this, kind of like a little crown stack that you see from like an oil refinery. So this will be like a nice little refinery. And I've cut a strip of cardboard here, and I'm just going to glue this to the front like that, give it kind of a railing, just like I did on the tower. And then when I'm done, I'll just spray it up, and that's what it'll look like. How cool is that? Okay, so as you can see, I have finished up basically. I'm going to call this done, but what I'm looking at here is you just got the bottles that I started with. I drilled some holes, stuck the straws in. There's the little thing there with the straw sticking down. I actually ran it through the base here just to give it some stability and cut it off at the bottom. This is the bottles and stuff that we started with. Now the thing that's really interesting about the bottles here is that if I wanted to, I just snap this right off, because the glue does not hold very well at all to this bottle. I'm sure there's got to be something you can do to make that better. I'm going to have to look that up and see. Maybe I will start using more plastics, but probably not. I don't like them. They don't flow well. So as you can see, the base that we created right here, I put it on a little bit of a base, There's the upper platform. I ran that little piece of cardboard on the outside. Remember I made that strip? I stuck it on there. I just cut out circles using my compass, and I drew the little circles, and then I just cut them out, and then I went ahead and glued them down here. That's all I did. And then of course the ladder, with the ladder trick, is just 2 popsicle sticks and then the sticks in between. That was easy to do. And then of course the stack is really simple. It's just I just wrapped a piece around and then just cut it out and drilled some holes in it. And then I stuck some toothpicks up underneath there, glued them on, and then just wrapped some strapping around that, and then wrapped some strapping around that, just like I did at the tower that one time. And that's all there is to it. Now I'm going to take it outside. I'm going to hit it with the white primer because I don't have black, and I'll be able to paint this thing up. It's going to be really easy to do. Just like the tower, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to make it all black and then just dry brush it a silver, and then give it a nice rusty wash and some mud, and you have yourself a lovely refinery. And here you go. This is a lovely Mordheim slash, I wouldn't say Mordheim, this is more of a Necromunda slash kill team kind of refinery thing you could do, and it's really simple. The whole thing didn't take me very long at all, and it's good to go. And so there you go. So here is my refinery here, as I've got it all black painted right now. I'm about to dry brush it, but one of the things that I wanted to show you guys before I did anything else was the catwalk. And someone's gonna inevitably ask me how I did the catwalk, even though it's in the beginning. And what I did again was I just took some Elmer's glue and I glued down the orange bag, some of the bag you get a bunch of oranges in. I just cut it up and I used that to make texture. And it's really easy to do. It's really simple, fun. I don't know about fun, but it's it's a lot easier to do than a lot of things. And that's how I do it. And all I'm going to do is paint this black and dry brush it silver, and then add some rusted details. So that will look really cool, and you will see that. And yes, that is a huge pile of sprues and bits. Don't judge me. So here you can see it. It is built and dry brushed. It's just a big patch of silver. That's kind of what the tread looks like. It's pretty cool beans. I like it. It's quick and dirty, easy to do. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the mud and the rust, and I'm just going to call it done, because that's how I am. Now, one of the things that I do want to point out here really quickly is that the hot glue, especially around like right in here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's cracked and it's coming loose. And because I put other bracers and things to hold this piece of cardboard in place, it doesn't rely so much on this bead here. Unfortunately, however, hot glue and plastic, they're not real good bedfellows. So I have a tendency to not use plastics. That's just kind of like the bottom line. I added the string right there in between the things. Again, if you look at the bridge, it's the same deal. And you'll see what this looks like when I get done adding all the rust and the then we'll just call this good. Now, if I want to get crazy on the Cheese Whiz, I can add some like sand to the base here, or you can add like tiles or texture to the base if you want to do that. I may or may not. I may actually have other plans for something like this. I'm actually planning on building a Necromunda table, and I'm going to build it in tiles and sections, and I'm going to have it 4 stories or 4 layers high, and so this would probably just be one layer that was probably a little higher up, so I'd build some more skirting on this and then add more to it, and just make this into a tower. This would probably be the top of the tower, so this would be like the 4th story. Anyway, we'll see how it goes, and from there, so yeah, I'm just going to add the mud and the rust, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright. And here it is, the refinery in all of its refinery mint. It's just, again, really slapdash, very, very simple build. I just threw some of the stuff together there, cardboard, cut it all out, glued it together. There's the stack right there. And again, this is going to be for my Necromunda kind of thing, so I definitely made it exactly the same as the towers. It's all rusted and gross. It's not even dried yet, so it's going to be a lot more matte when it's dry. There's the catwalk on the top, so you can kind of see the texture that created. I really liked it. I think that looks really, really good. It's cool beans. I could have done it on the bottom if I had more planning on this. Again, this wasn't even a planned piece. This was just something that I threw together really, really fast. wasn't something I was trying to build. I was actually going to be building something totally different, and I was like, oh crap, I need to put together a refinery. So I'm like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just do a slapdash build. Anyway, that's what I did. And so it's really, really simple, really easy to build, and I hope that you build one of your own and you enjoy it and get many years of use out of it. So happy wargaming. Thanks for watching, and I hope this works out for you. Enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed yourself here on Homebrew Terrain.